This is an extortion-free product. No permits were sought or obtained in order to film the following images. No fees were paid to any government department, accreditation agency or special interest group during the creation of this product. The producer made no commitments to plant trees in order to appease the fundamentalist zealots of climate change religion and the cult of sustainable development. As a show of support for extortion-free production, we invite you to raise your finger to those who seek regulation of every human activity and those who fail to resist this scourge.
Been told now, so there's no insurance now.
A man named Brian Hanson decided one fine day that after years of heavy work, he'd take a holiday. The local travel agent was young and helpful too. She gave him lots of information, while Brian admired the view. But brochures, pamphlets, flyers, and all that airline talk made going on a holiday seem more difficult than work. Despite the pleasant company, he knew this wouldn't do.
Fuck this, lad. It's all too hard. I'm off to Ningaloo.
So Brian left to pack his gear and head for northern heat. While in his wake, the travel agent reviewed her sales technique.
I can't believe I've lost my touch. This should have been a breeze. A little pout, a little flesh should bring them to their knees. Can't believe I'm losing it. What's a girl to do? Perhaps I should just chuck it all in and head for Ningaloo.
So where is Ningaloo? And what is it? Ningaloo is a sheep station. To get there, we begin driving north from Perth towards the town of Geraldton. Continue on through Northampton, and soon the endless wheatlands change to station country. Trees gradually give way to low scrub, and further north, samphire and saltbush stretch to the horizon. Past Carnarvon and on to Manila. Turning left, we continue driving where stormy skies bring both the hope of rain and the threat of lightning to dry grassland. At a small sign by the roadside, we turn west and follow the track created by the Lefroy family, who trekked across this country in the 1930s with a dream of running sheep on the Spinifex plains bordering the Indian Ocean. The truck and trailer used by the family rest today by the homestead, built beneath the towering presence of the Point Clotes lighthouse. From this isolated outpost, the Lefroys carved a living from a land where fortunes were subject to the vagaries of the seasons and the whims of international markets. Sheep are not the only creatures to thrive here. Emus and kangaroos compete for scarce water in a landscape dotted with anthills. Rock wallabies shelter where caves are formed in the limestone hills. Under cover of darkness, turtles make their way up the beach to lay their eggs in the sand, and all manner of creatures inhabit the ocean nearby. Fishing and camping have long been popular at Ningaloo, especially by those who wish to escape the visual pollution inflicted on other parts of the coast and the overbearing tactics of clueless government employees who seem obsessed with enforcing pointless regulation. Over the years, Ningaloo has become a special place where people of shared values come together to enjoy priceless pleasures in a rare and unique environment. A place loved, valued, appreciated and protected to such an extent that when faced with the threat of World Heritage listing, hundreds of people who regularly camp along the Ningaloo beaches answer the call. In an act of defiance to weak politicians who bowed to a combination of green ideology and power-hungry bureaucrats, the Ningaloo campers made their views known directly to members of the World Heritage Committee. What followed was a win for grassroots democracy over the fascist-like tactics of a federal minister, the underhand dealings of both federal and state public servants, and the sheer arrogance and incompetence of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. Ningaloo Station was excluded from the World Heritage Area. The fact that these people chose to protect Ningaloo should come as no surprise. Many are the descendants of former servicemen, and like their forefathers, they were prepared to confront a very real threat to property and liberty posed by the thuggish behaviour of unelected public servants and an international organisation which threatens the very principles it was supposed to protect. Given this background, a remote coastal sheep station operated by a pioneering pastoral family, visited by people prepared to protect what they value, it is little surprise that some people see Ningaloo as an opportunity to revisit a way of life which is part of their very soul.
Ningaloo has a couple of special draw cards for me. When I was a kid, 16, 17, George Wilkie at Elders organised a trip into the shearing teams for me to complete my shearing, my wool classing course. And he told me way back then, son, it'll make you or it'll break you. You'll love it or you'll hate it. Well, I bloody loved it. And the reason I keep coming back to Ningaloo is particularly for that reason. This particular shearing shed here is exactly the shearing shed that I worked in for 6 months through Karratha, Balmoral, Mardi, Roy Hill and Marillana. And I did love it. It really grew on me and it stuck to me. And when I was first introduced to Ningaloo here in 1998, I found myself back home. I found myself in a place that I'd longed to come back to. I found myself in an environment that suited me. I found myself with friends and people and the countryside that I'd been longing for. And on top of that now, my wife joins me here at Ningaloo and we love the fishing and the scenery and the lifestyle and the wildlife, and we walk the range and it's just a different way of life for us here at Ningaloo, and we can't wait to get here. Every May, June, and we don't leave till September. We go home to Torquay and it's no longer gone Christmas and we start talking about, hey, let's pack up and come back to Ningaloo. The last couple of years we've got very close to Billy and Jane and Phil here at Ningaloo, and we saw that they needed an enormous amount of help and assistance in running this station, the limited hands they had themselves. So we've organised with a few of us a working bee the last 3 Februaries, this is the 3rd. Last year we did an enormous amount of fencing all up and down the coastline for them, and this year we've been helping repair the roof in the shearing shed, which is in a terrible state of disrepair. We've helped them with various issues and roofs around the various shacks that they have here at Ningaloo, and there's some more fencing and other chores to be done, and we'll be here again next year in February to continue to assist Phil and Bill and Mary and Jane with the chores that badly need doing here, and they find very demanding on them with the limited hands that they have. The other reason we keep coming back here at this time of the year is because of the mateship we've created over the years. We've all have our own nicknames like Eagle and JJ and Sheepshank, and Sheepshank's of course the cook, does a great job and prepares his meals out of various fares that are available around here, as well as all the magic stuff he brings up himself. JJ from 2J brings up an enormous amount of tools and equipment and materials to help at the station, and he brings along a couple of mates himself. So night times here are quite different. We tell a lot of yarns and they always tell us of their past and their experiences in the shearing sheds, in the various country jobs and truck driving jobs and that they've had here. Brian, one of JJ's friends, even tells us of the times he's picked up Red Dog on the freeway in Perth and driven him all the way back to Karratha. JJ tells us of his times in the salt mines, and I reminisce of the times I had in the shearing sheds. and you couldn't do it at a better place than we do here at Ningaloo.
So here are a group of people who originally came to Ningaloo for a camping holiday, who now return each year to voluntarily work on various projects around the property. Sunrise sees them having breakfast and preparing for the day ahead. The truckers arrive during the night carrying hay and other equipment, which is to be unloaded before carting some wool away. With the truck unloaded and the hay stacked in the sea container, John and Brian begin work on hanging a gate. Aaron and Jack head off to cart blue metal to a job at the beach shack. While back at the camp, Bob the cook and his off-sider John pack up some fish and prepare meals for the crew at the kitchen built long ago to accommodate shearers.
And that's what happens if you miss.
Phil Kendrick speaks about the contribution of the volunteers to Ningaloo Station.
Well, it basically started off about 5 years ago when a number of campers saw me, inverted commas, struggling to undertake the duties by myself because I was only male on the station. Remembering pastoral stations can't afford $2,000 and $3,000 a week for someone to come and assist. And some of the campers saw it, and JJ in particular, that's John Lister, suggested that why don't we start a voluntary assistance. And it actually evolved from that. And they now, as I say, come throughout Australia to assist us. It's a social event. It's a micro group of people that get together and they become lifelong friends. They have phenomenal meals produced by Bob Chalmers and John. They produce the meals for all the people that are here assisting.
Okay.
We don't work any set hours. We don't start at 4 and finish at 8. We please ourselves, and the time that they're doing this voluntary work depends on their age, their physical stamina, and what they've been used to doing over the last many years. Some start early at 4 o'clock and finish by midday. Others start at 10 o'clock and may go through most of the day. We also have a group of people that can't come up because of their work. For example, we have a farmer down at Manjimup by the name of Bill Rice. He just physically can't because this is the most important time of year for him to continue on with his business. Being disappointed not being able to come up here, he was good enough to say, all right, his contribution would be a few bags of really lovely potatoes, a lot of vegetables and tomatoes and avocados. So the support is not only physically helping us here, but also in other ways. We have Big L, another friend that hasn't turned up this year because of circumstances with his business. He propagates up to 1,500 coastal morts, Eucalyptus platypus, and they are propagated by him, grown out to around about 300 mils high. Then they're transported up here, and the campers that are here plant those out, and at the end of the day we have a phenomenal amount of natural vegetation that is being propagated and accelerated by people assisting nature in the rehabilitation of the area. You don't get this anywhere else. You will not get it with a government department. You will not get it with 99% of places. You do get it at Ningaloo. Jack and Brian, two brothers, two elderly gentlemen in their 70s, they leave their home at Horrocks and leave their home at Mandurah and come up here. They're very active and they get into everything and assist as much as they can. They're both very active and very agile. Aaron Stone is the one that travels from Torquay in the eastern states, travels some 5,500 kilometres across the country, then either hitchhikes or gets on a bus or gets on an aeroplane and flies to Exmouth Gulf, then endures a 2.5 hour trip by vehicle out here to the station. He always spends the 2 weeks with the Roundup and then another 2 weeks assisting to put things away, clean things up, rehabilitate the equipment, do some maintenance on equipment that we've used, store it all away. So he's an exceptionally valuable asset that we have, and he absolutely loves it.
As the days roll by, work continues on paving and spreading blue metal to stabilise the sand at the beach shack. With no heavy machinery available, the work is done with shovels, buckets and rakes. In the afternoon, there's time to catch a few fish and enjoy the beach at sunset. In the evening, exceptional meals are served, where in the past countless numbers of shearers have dined on meals prepared on a wood-fired stove. Yeah, so if you go back in the old days before gas and electricity, this is a metals number 6. And man, would it have been bloody hot in here. They did everything, cooked everything, breakfast, dinner and tea, bread, you name it. Magic piece of gear. Actually, I'd like a brand new one of them at home, it'd be bloody bonzo. It's a good piece of gear, but long past its use by date now, unfortunately. After a long day's work, a good meal and a few drinks, the fun goes well into the night.
Okay, I'm Brian Hanson, stuffed in there. Now the herons of Egypt are great to behold, and the maidens are fairest of fair. But the fairest of these was owned by the sheik named Abdul the Bulbul Amir.
Yeah, but the thing is now, you've probably gone too far.
I know he's only 4
You've probably gone on the other side of the channel.
Next morning there is some fencing to be done. Old posts and wire, rusted and damaged by years of exposure to salt, are removed and carted away. Galvanised posts are erected and new wires strained into place. The final job is replacing a section of roof on the shearing shed where years of exposure to salt air has rusted the iron. The old sheets are removed using a jemmy bar and hammer. New sheets are carefully measured, cut, then manoeuvred into place before fixing with tack screws.
Okay.
After a couple of days of solid work, the roof is nearing completion.
There we go, old mate.
Year 2012 is over. Tomorrow we pack up. Next day we head back to our respective homes in Horrocks Beach, Mandurah and Tujay. And hopefully if we get another welcome next year, come back to do the same thing over and over again.
On the journey home, they trek back across those Spinifex plains with thoughts of returning next year. And on the drive south from Carnarvon, Brian gleefully anticipates a visit to the travel agent to explain why he prefers Ningaloo to Bali. Then as he travelled homeward, beside the road he spied a now familiar figure who's trying to hitch a ride. "Well, I'll be buggered," Brian said. "I can't believe it's true. She's chucked it in. She's left the job. She's off to Ningaloo."